Hi, my name is Zachary Angela, and I wanted to go over a project that I had built. It's more of a sugar syntax of a library that I had created to help me kind of simplify a bigger project. The bigger project was my switch term project, and sort of made things really neat and clean. What does it do? Um, Basically, it's sugar syntax in order to either get inputs or create files or generate text or update the text inside of the files or run bash commands. So I just wanted to kind of make a video on that, because if I'm going to be working on a project, and it's sort of an integrity thing in order to make the syntax simpler for other people to understand it and make sugar syntax within the scope of that problem so that other people can understand it better, and then make directions in a video to help them understand that sugar syntax, hopefully. So basically, in order to kind of see what's going on, I made an example folder, and inside the example folder there are just examples of using that sugar syntax. One of the first things we got is a way to ask a question and then get the input and store it. Another way is to do a selection, which is the menu instructions method. So to put these into action, I guess you could say, basically all this is inside the terminal as far as being used. So if we go into example and we see the file, we'll run main.go, and basically if it's the first time you run it, it might be a little bit slower just because it has to pull everything down. But here's a question, and basically this is the first part, and this is, what is your name here, and it stores into this variable. So if you do, let's say, John, then it moves to the next example, which is just a slice, and in that slice you call this function, you add the slice to it. This you can change to any number, and basically this is the columns that you're going to display. See how this is just one column? Well, if you did two, it'd split up into 2, 3, so on and so forth. The colors, again, I went over this in other videos. Here's the color scheme for it. Basically, in order to change those colors, you would just add them here. Inside of that color scheme, in order to actually, I guess you could say, update the colors if you're really that interested, you would just go down to, let's say, this table, and it's either the FG or the BG, and you would just use that inside the colors file. So you would just add another case, so it'd be like case, I don't know, what's another color, say yellow, sure. And oh yeah, it's split up. This is the foreground color, this is the background color. It also depends upon which function you use too as well. So these are two different functions. And then you would just grab the F color and whatever number. Actually, I think it might be the first one. Yeah, so it'd be 33. So then when you go to call it, you would just do, well, you'd make sure one is the foreground, one is background. I think it's foreground first, background second. Just hover over this in order to see. Oh, I was wrong. Background first, foreground second. And you just do, yellow. And let's say you wanted 2 columns. And this is the question that kind of gets asked in it. And yeah. So then when you choose one of these, it would store it, prints it out, what was the right answer, as you can tell right here. And then just as an extra way, because, you know, if you're going to print stuff out, what else do you want to do with it? Well, it functions for creating files and folders. So create a folder with the first answer, which is the name. Create the file within that folder with a concatenation of both of those. So this is that color blue. This is the name John. So it's going to create a folder with John. It's going to create a file with the name or color blue, and it's add .txt to it. And if you look, there's John, there's the blue.txt. As far as adding text, that's right here, and that's just the initial text. It's not really that important. It's just the way that you can add text to a file when you initially want to generate it. This right here is just the map, just to show that I can move data into the generated template. And that's why you see this template variable right here. So you could add text to it, have a variable if you threw it into the map, and you could add stuff to this map. It's not really, you know, a thing. Color, sure. And this would be the other answer, color answer, sure. Whatever. And that, so basically does the text that comes in first, the file, which it's a os.file type. So you can't just take the directory and throw it in there. And here it has to be the actual file type. And so this is the data that goes into it. So that when you generate files, you can do it with the backtick and do spaces and all sorts of, add more variables, you know. Dot, it's a color, I think was the one that I used here. Yeah. Anyways, and then if you need to update the text. So if you're going to be generating files inside of a project or a server or whatever it is, you need to be able to, a way to direct it toward that file. And if you hover over it, it kind of shows you check is the second parameter, and that's checking for a certain text. So if you have a file with, let's say we, I don't know, did some like new text or handler, or, you know, whatever, you would then add this to update text. You would add it here, and this would check for it. This is not what gets replaced. This is what, so it checks for this first. It says, okay, is it there? If it's there, then this is the text that's gonna get replaced. That's why it's called comment. Because you would normally just put comments so that you wouldn't have actual code that necessarily gets replaced. That you would have comments, because the comments don't affect the other code. And then this would be what actually replaces it, which is replace. And that would be your handler, your data, your SQL, your whatever it is. So then the last function is a bash. I just simplified it. It does print out the errors, which, I mean, it basically uses this function to shell out and then just kind of automates a little bit of it, but still prints out the different errors. If you want to change this, you can. It's not really a big deal. But yeah, you can run whatever bash, you know, files you want inside of here. You know, cd whatever it is you're going to do, PWD, I don't know. And yeah, it's just the easy way. Yeah, it's sugar syntax in order to be able to call it bash. So let's say you want a way to generate a server. You want a way for them to generate their own handlers. You would use comments inside maybe the routes file, and then if you want to update the text or based upon a selection, like it was here, do you want to update handler? Do you want to add whatever? And then this would be it. You would use bash in order to do, go build or go mod tidy, or and do, if you want to do multiple ones, you go mod whatever it is you're going to do in bash. It runs the program after everything gets generated and changed in the files or whatever. I guess you could kind of say that there's some security thing with that, because you're pulling down dependencies for them inside their computer. So there is a thing to that. But for yourself, or doing a skeleton program or whatever it is, that's a great way to do it and to deal with it. Or you can even use the go new command. So you could pull down a whole project as is, and then, or you could generate the go command inside it here. Ask them, what do you want to name your project? Or whatever, And so, yeah, I just thought, because I work on this, the switch term, I updated a lot of the code and everything to kind of make things seem neater and easier to read. But I thought, well, okay, this is kind of a big project. Maybe people just won't look into it because it's so big. Not that it's huge, but it's big enough. And so I just thought, well, if I'm going to say that, other people should have integrity for writing code that's understandable and give some kind of direction, I should do the same thing for my own projects. So that's sort of what I did, and then that's what I made, and this is how I'm explaining it. Alright, and I'll leave links to the stuff in the notes, okay? If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.